You're now tuned in to Polarizing Figure, Polarizing Topic of the Day. R&B singer Brian McKnight's son, Brian McKnight Jr., gets on podcast with his ex-wife, discussing the situation between their family, how he feel abandoned. I'm going to let him get into it and tell more about the situation. Before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe to the channel.
Very special guests. I have Julie McKnight and Brian McKnight Jr. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Thanks for having us.
So, for the last couple of weeks, Brian McKnight Sr. has been in the media, came across my radar. And the thing I noticed when I was watching him do interviews or do a particular interview was that you all hadn't responded much, that you all were fairly quiet in the media and had been for a while. What made you want to talk now?
To be honest, man, like I said when you initially reached out to me, it's been years for me dealing with this. Years. We're talking since 2019. This has been our family story in the media. And I have said pretty much all I've needed to say about it. Do you know what I mean? It's really not things that I necessarily even feel for me personally I need to rehash anymore. But with this new set of things that have been said and the way that it seems like this is going to continue to play out, if we don't say something, is a big part of the reason why. And you yourself personally, I wasn't going to talk to anyone else. And to be even realer, it has even nothing to do with the spat that you and my father have. Me and my boys have always appreciated your point of view on things and the way that you handle your conversations and the way that you talk. And that made a big difference on my decision to finally say something. But within the unfortunateness of this entire situation, I do think it's imperative for not only myself to not absolve myself of certain things, but to just open the door for a new conversation to be had. And not just between us, not just between me and my father, but now because we are in the public, it's with all of you as well and everyone. Yeah. So I do appreciate the opportunity to do this, but I'm hoping it's the last time that we have to address these things based on things said by my dad. So I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to not draw the line in the sand or anything like that, but to, again, I would love everything from here on out to become a bridge of understanding, man.
I like that. I like that idea of bridge of understanding, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you too. You know, I don't have any issue with Brian. I don't know him to have an issue with him. As a public commentator, we commented on the information that he put in the public, and we got to hear one side of it.
Right.
And so for me, it was important to say, well, what does his other side look like? And most importantly, how can we maybe move in a direction toward healing, whatever that looks like, whatever healing looks like, that's all I care about. Yeah. So maybe let's take a step back and talk about what happened in that most recent interview. One of the things that Brian McKnight talked about was the relationship itself. He talked about it as a marriage that was almost not forced, but that pregnancy sort of produced this thing. And he, as a good church boy, you know, decided to move forward with this sort of arranged situation to do right. And that you all had a relationship that was on the rocks. You know, you separated 4 times, he said, and that's how you ended up where you ended up.
Well, first and foremost, it was just watching that interview. I was like, was he married to somebody before me? Because this was not the situation. And even in writing about it, everything was glowing when, you know, I wrote even in the book about how the relationship started.
Did it start in the church?
It started when we were children. I did not meet him in college. Our families have been intertwined since before I was born. Our parents went to college together. His mom was my dad's campus sister. I wasn't this girl who met him in college just hanging out on campus. Our families have always been together. And at the point where I realized I was pregnant with this beautiful one when I came home for vacation. He was already on his way to California, had asked my parents permission to come and stay to try and work on a record deal. His mom gave him 1 year. I love you, Grandmama Lane. Gave him a year and said, if you don't get this deal, you coming home. Got a blessing from my parents. My parents allowed him to come and live with our home, where then at the time I was functioning as a group home counselor, still doing that now. And he was allowed to come and live with us while working on getting a record deal. I think one of the misconceptions that has been played out is, I hear he was getting ready to make it and I latched on and got pregnant. It's my experience. It's not the case.
Oh, were you in love?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my brother used to tease us all the time. I couldn't sobs at the airport when I had to leave,
Wait, just to be clear, he was sobbing.
Oh.
Okay, because I want people to think you were in love and he was just trying to.
Oh, no.
He was there so he wouldn't get fined.
Picked us because the whole situation where we went out of town. I was asked to leave school. I carried on the family history of it and didn't want to go. So he was, subsequently had to leave because I was staying at the boys' dorm and wasn't supposed to at this Christian college, but I was staying there in his room. So once they found that out, then we both had to go. But I don't think in any way I have ever been unclear about the fact that there were definitely deeper feelings in the relationship. Which is why it was so disturbing for me, because even the scenario of I'm pregnant, now here we are, my family, from my grandmother down, because we all lived in one house, my grandparents, my parents, I had 2 cousins there. We were, like I said, we were running a group home. And he came in, found a place to be in that situation. And my family from day one made it very clear, you do not have to marry her. She will be fine. I made that clear.
I think he was saying some of it was his own guilt, though, and his own upbringing in the
right.
Adventist church.
His mother made it clear to him that he did not have to. We all had a family conversation about it because she was so close to my dad. She was really like my dad's sister. And I mean, our entire families, and they discussed it. They made it clear. It's not what you have to do. Now, the discussion he may have had with mom on his own, I wasn't privy to, but mom was clear that that is not something that had to happen up until right before the wedding.
Wow. So, and the reason, y'all, that this was an important talking point was because not just in the most recent interview that Brian McKnight did, but over the last few years, he's talked about his new relationship. He's talked about his new songwriting ethic. He's talked about a few things where he said, I've never had these feelings before. I've never done these things before. He said he never loved anyone like that before, or loved anyone. He said, I've never even liked, I've heard him say before, my partner before like this.
It's not the truth.
Is it? I don't mean to push this, but is there any way maybe y'all were feeling 2 different things? People talk past each other in relationships.
When I look back, no. I would love to say, you know what, in retrospect, maybe I was, I'm a 55-year-old woman. I'm very clear on if someone feels some way or not. Doesn't matter. The ages were thrown around a lot. Didn't make a difference. I was blessed to have come up in a home with parents and strong women, my grandmothers, my aunts. I was around women who made it very clear to me how to move forward in my life. And he spent enough time around my family where it would have been clear. It was so disturbing because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking there were people here during this period of time that's being discussed who clearly know a different situation and a different side of the story. I mean, even when this one was born, the comments made about, how they were here and how they were made. Oh my God, BJ, you couldn't pry him out of his arms.
Well, that was going to be the thing I have for you, BJ. When you hear, my children weren't made out of love or born out of love, these children were born out of sin, in statements like that, how'd you feel? How does it make you feel?
It's interesting for me. To be honest, it's different. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sting. It doesn't hurt my feelings because I understand. As someone who has been in my own, I've gone through it all. I've gone through everything my dad has gone through in half the time. You know what I mean? I've got 3 children, 2 different women. My first 2 kids I had with someone I wasn't in a relationship with.
Right.
You know what I mean? I am able to put myself in my dad's shoes and say, okay, well, if you were 19 and 20 and you weren't ready to have a kid yet, I know that there had to have been conversations had around not having me. So, and from that standpoint, I can understand that maybe what he's trying to say out of spite and pettiness to hurt my mom may not necessarily be how he actually feels. See, I'm able to separate the 2 things.
That's a generous reading of of him.
I get it, man. I've said many times through this whole thing that I think that I'm the person that could help my dad.
Right.
And that's not coming from a place of ego. It's not coming from a place of feeling like I'm better than him or smarter than him. No, I understand, dog. I've been through it. And I've managed to keep my integrity through all of this, maintain honesty as well as I can as a young man trying to figure himself out and do things. I've made mistakes, especially in relationships, a lot of which I learned from seeing the relationships around me, as we know how it goes with conditioning and generational things. So it's just like, I've had a lot of time and self-work on myself to reach that level of being able to not just have it hurt my feelings. Does it hurt my feelings? Of course. I'm not going to deny the fact that hearing your father say these things publicly is where it's an issue for me. But like I said years ago, me and my father have been way past the father-son role at this point. It's time for us to have a conversation as men.
Absolutely.
I've always been willing to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he unwilling to have it?
I don't think he's ready to have it yet. And that's not a jab at him.
Mm-mm.
Well, let me ask directly, though. Have you tried to have that
100%. 100%. For years.
And when you reach out,
just to be as fully transparent as possible, because that's what I plan to be today.
Yeah.
My father told me that the only way that he would have the conversation with me is that if I went online and told everyone that I was lying about the initial post that I made back in the day.
was that 2019?
2019, yes. And if you aren't familiar, I made an Instagram post back in the day. I mean, pretty much saying that, it was simply stating essentially that I do not dig the way that you're treating my siblings. Did I say he abandoned us? Did I say that? All of that became misconstrued through all the BS. And then within his responses of not really knowing what to say and obviously not having someone on his team tell him to maybe take a beat.